Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Juju Show, episode 27. It is the month of December. I am back for my holiday, although we're getting ready for Christmas holiday. So I think what we're going to do, first up, we're going to do this is the last show of the year. We'll come back on the 3rd of January and see everyone after your break. So we'll wish everyone happy holidays. But before we get there, let's see where we're at with stuff in the community news. Number one, Juju 2.3 RC2 hit while I was away. So RC2 means bug fixes, means closer to final. And I actually saw a pull request that seemed like it might indicate final is imminent. So watch out, get your 2.3, get using it, testing it, putting your workloads on it, getting ready for the upgrade. It will be coming soon. Next up, this was really kind of cool. The OpenStack team released their 17.11 OpenStack Charm release. It had a lot of fixes. What's nice is it now has full official Gnocchi support, quality of service, and a lot of the charms are making their push to be Python 3 only. So there's a few stragglers left, but I really encourage you to check out. They have in their OpenStack documentation, they have the changelog with all the various changes across all the charms. Definitely go check those out and go through that if you are an OpenStack user. And again, get ready for your upgrades. Juju upgrade charm away to get some new goodies. Let's see. The next thing I wanted to pull out was some stuff that hit the mailing list. I didn't get a reply back from the person, but they were having a problem trying to run Juju status on a model they had. It was telling them that the model wasn't there. And it led me to kind of go, what would be a cool new user thing to go through? Would be to let's kind of talk about how you can tell which controllers and models you're on and all that. So let me get a screen share going here, where I have some goodies. So not this terminal, this terminal. All right. So remember now, controllers are the state databases, the kind of they're the controllers of Juju. You have one of these typically on each cloud that you're running on. So here you can see I have a GUI MAS controller which is running on my MAS in my basement. I've got two different Juju Show controllers running in Google and the US East. Now, the only reason these two are different, I'll show you in the main topic, but I could just have one in this region. I could have, one in AWS, one in my OpenStack if I had one or whatnot. So, you have these different controllers. And then what's nice is you get this little star that shows you which one you're currently active on. So if I just run Juju models, that's great. I see the models that are on my current controller, which is just the controller in default. Notice that models also show me which one I am currently on. So it's kind of like a little bit of a, Russian stack doll situation. If I run Juju status, it just defaults to the current one. So here you can see I deployed some stuff in my default model. Now, you can always run these commands by telling it what to do. So I can say, Juju, tell me the models on the controller GUI MAS. I just have the defaults, but this is actually going to go ask my MAS for it. Now, I'm not switched to it. If I wanted to switch to it, I could switch to that controller. And it tells you, okay, you went from this controller and this user model to this controller with this user model. Right? So if I run status now, it's empty because I'm on this controller I put up on GUI MAS and I didn't have anything running in it. So let's switch back, or actually no, let's not. Let's do this. So now I can also run status. Now status works on a model, right? So list models or models works against the controller. So the controller tell me about all your models. You use -c. If I want to do another command that's model specific, like status, I tell it what model. Now I can say Juju status -m controller, and that will assume the same controller I'm on, but the model name is controller. I can do /m default, right? And I can ask for different models that are on my current controller. So these are all on GUI MAS because I'm currently active on the GUI MAS controller. All right, well, that's cool. But what if I want to check out the status of something else? I don't have to switch to it. I can run status -m, and then you can prefix, whichever you prefer, the name of the controller, so jujushow-dns, with then the model name, the default, which is when we run that had a bunch of stuff in it. Now, when I run this, I'm not going to switch off of GUI mouse. I'm activated here. I'm going to get status output. Again, this is the status of this other controller and this other model. And if I look, I'm still active here. So this is a great way to do if you do like any kind of shell scripting around Juju related stuff, using the -c and the -m flags to help specify which controller or model to run this against is really helpful. So keep that in mind. There's a kind of like beginner, intro thing of the week. So give that a shot, and hopefully that provides some awesome stuff for you. And that will bring us to our weekly topic. What are we talking about this week? This week, I talked 2 weeks ago around the shell stuff we're doing with having the shell integrated into the GUI. So go back last week to the last one and watch that if you're curious. And we want to try to enable this so that people can self-host it. One of the problems with self-hosting it is that there's certificate management, right? You have these self-signed certs, and you're basically having a shell in a browser talk to a process on a instance in a VM, trying to talk across the WebSocket that's a secure WebSocket, and getting the certificates spread across all the touch points so that everything stays nice and valid is a pain. And it's work. So we can make this work on staging, and we'll be putting it up on production on Jazz on jujushow-dns.com shortly. And we can do that because we control the DNS. It has valid DNS and certificates for it and stuff. But if you have your own controller, what can we do to help you out? Well, we have there we go. One thing that I'd kind of known we had, I kind of forgot about, was that we have configuration that will help you specify certificates at bootstrap time. And what's cool is it actually will work with Let's Encrypt and automatically set this up. So I bootstrapped a controller on GCE, the one I was showing you there, and I told it via the config that its autocert-dns-name was show.jujugui.org. This is a domain that I have DNS control on jujugui.org, and I put show as the subdomain, and then I bootstrapped that, and that looks just like you see here. So here's my controller. So let's go ahead and switch to it. All right, and let's look at the controller config. And you'll see in here, let's scroll here, the autocert-dns-name is set. I specified it at Bootstrap. But what does that do? Well, what it does is the first time that someone tries to hit the DNS name and it hits it with that domain name, it'll actually go start perform a dance and get a certificate from Let's Encrypt, which is really cool because that means it's valid. So what I did is I ran Juju GUI. Now I will say, I found a bug on this right here, is that when you run the Juju GUI command, it gives you the URL to go to for the browser. Now, I've put a custom DNS name on this. I don't want this URL. What I want is the custom one. So I found a bug on that, and we'll try to get that updated and fixed. But what that means, and I got to switch which window I'm sharing here, is that now I can, where did it go? Nope, not that window. Where is this window? I can actually go to the GUI at that URL. So I'm HTTPS. I have my little lock. I have a valid cert, and I'm at the GUI under this domain. So if you run your own controller, it makes sense that you can give it a meaningful name. You're going to keep this thing up. You're going to let multiple users have access or whatnot. Make it part of your normal infrastructure. And so here I have, I was tinkering with some, where it says worker. This is a Sentry bundle that James Beatty's been working on, doing some Django fun and joy here. See some Redis, Django worker. This is the Django bundle. Sorry, I thought I was playing with the Sentry one. Anyway, so we can go through and we can, use this GUI. We can deploy stuff. We can configure things, and it's all hunky-dory. With this nice DNS name. It's more memorable. It's there's no SSL cert warnings. Oh no, the world will end if you connect to this website. And the reason I was looking at this was that this will help us if the controller is set up with a valid cert on a domain, then it's much easier for us to set up the Juju shell to talk to that without having to manually pass around certificates, because clients already validate and think that, know that this is a good valid cert for this domain. So hopefully we'll finish getting the steps and instructions for the manual Juju shell shortly, but this is something that anyone can do. If you have any kind of long-running controller, why not give it a meaningful name? Why not get rid of the cert warnings? And really, it was just so easy in that you just specify the one config option and you're off to the races. So check it out. It's in the documentation, and I'll put a link to the documentation for that in the show notes. And actually, I didn't put that in my show notes. Let me add that in. There's an autocert-dns-name as one config where you say what the resulting URL you want to go to is. There's also an autocert-url config option, and it says this is where to go to get certificates for this from. Now, I didn't play with that. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure how to use it. It looks like it's a default into Let's Encrypt URL. I'm curious whether you can use that to help not just do Let's Encrypt, but set your own one. So if you've played with that, why don't you drop some comments in the show here, and or hit up the mailing list and let us know how you're using this. I think it's a really good thing that's easy to do. And honestly, I'm kind of like, I don't know why I haven't done it a lot more. So there you go. Something new, hopefully, for you today. Everyone, hope you have good holidays and a good time. And I'll see you all in the new year. So long.